Good evening, listeners. This is your host, Shiba Rakesh, welcoming you to yet another edition of the English program. India has been home to brilliant literary minds, conversationalists, poets, and writers who have defined life according to their own hearts and minds in ways that have been unforgettable. One such mind was Amrita Pritam, whose birthday we celebrated on August 31st. The woman who was way ahead of her time. In fact, beyond time. She lived life on her own terms, leaving a legacy of thought and word which inspires countless men and women, artists and writers even today. Let's listen to poet and writer Anujit Iqbal speaking about Amrita Pritam.
Amrita Pritam's entire body of work can, in a way, be seen as powerful feminist literature. We will remember her, speak about her, and especially reflect on the new path she opened for women. Amrita's literary journey was filled with many firsts, but perhaps her most defining achievement was being among the earliest women in India to wield poetry as a weapon of feminism and political thought. Over a career spanning 6 decades, she created more than 100 works, poetry, essays, fiction, biographies, and even preserved the pulse of Punjabi culture in a collection of folk songs, later translated into several Indian and foreign languages. She broke barriers in recognition as well. The first woman to receive the Sahitya Akademi Award, she was also the first to be honored with Padma Shri. Born on August 31st, 1999 in Gujranwala to a Sikh family, her life was forever altered by the partition. Her family migrated to India and the violent tearing apart of subcontinent became an unshakable wound in her writing, a recurring theme in her novels, poems, and memoirs. In 1982, her lifetime contribution to Punjabi literature earned her the Gyanpith Award, the highest literary honor in India. Among her celebrated works stands the novel Pinjar, later adapted into a film by Chandraprakash Trivedi in 2003. But Amrita was never just a chronicler of history. She was also a bold architect of women's inner worlds. In novels like Ek Si Sara, Kachi Sadak, Uninja Din, Adalat, and the love-filled tales of Alf Laila Hajar Dastan, she created women who were fearless, sensual, questioning, and untamed, much like herself. At a time when such women were branded controversial, she kept writing. Today, her work is a cornerstone for anyone tracing the roots of Indian feminism. Her most immortal work remains the partition elegy Aj Aakham Varis Shah Nu, written in 1948 during a train ride from Delhi to Dehradun when she was a 28 years old refugee from Lahore. It was the first partition elegy penned by a Punjabi poet in any language. Later, Faiz Ahmad Faiz would read it in a Pakistani prison only to find it carried in the pockets of countless others. Khushwant became the first to translate it into English, calling it a work that made her immortal in India and Pakistan alike. She did not send love folded into envelopes. She sent the truth, raw, unblinking, steeped more in ink than in blood. In the long corridor of 20th century letters, her name does not stand as a plaque on a wall. It runs like a live wire through the palms of every woman who has ever loved, endured, or worn silence like a shawl of insubordination. Amrita's work was never a borrowed manifesto. She was not the disciple of an ism. She was the ism. A moment in herself, she carried within her body the weight of womankind, their laughter and betrayals, their stillborn dreams and fire-bright rebellions. Her language was not ornamental. It was flesh, sinew, heartbeat. Her poses were as important as her words, for in them slept the unrecorded sighs of women across centuries. Gujranwala, 11-year-old girl who has just lost her mother, sits in a stale air of a room, turning absence into diary entries. The ink is thin, but the need to speak is not. In those first hesitant lines lies the seed of an entire literary uprising, though the child herself does not yet know it. Amrita did not import her vocabulary from bookshelves. She acquired it from the mine of her own pain. Her earliest work, Amrit Lake, bore the ash of mortality and the amber of love, each line a balancing act between ruin and resurrection. Lekh ja meri takdeer nu mere lai, मैं जी रही तेरे बिना तेरे लई कुगनूस. Partition was not just the redrawing of maps, it was the separation of bodies. Women's names disappeared into statistics. Their voices never made the front page. Then came her cry, not a poem but an invocation. Aj ਆਖਾਂ ਵਾਰਿਸ ਸ਼ਾਹ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਤੋ ਕਬਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਬੋਲ ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਕਿਤਾਬੇ ਇਸ਼ਕ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਅਗਲਾ ਵਰਕਾ ਫੋਲ. ਇੱਕ ਰੋਈ ਸੀ ਧੀ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀ ਤੂੰ ਲਿਖ ਲਿਖ ਮਾਰੇ ਵੈਣ ਅੱਜ ਲੱਖਾਂ ਧੀਆਂ ਰੋਂਦੀਆਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਵਾਰਿਸ ਸ਼ਾਹ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿਣ. It was an address to a poet of centuries past, a play for him to rise from the grave and witness the assault on Punjab's daughters. In literary history, this stands as one of the earliest and most unflinching feminist documents of mass violence. Rasidi Ticket. Her autobiography is not a chronological narrative, it is an anatomy of becoming. In Rasidi Ticket, she faces herself in the mirror without flinching and talks about ਮੁਹੱਬਤ. ਮੁਹੱਬਤ ਉਸ ਫੁੱਲ ਵਾਂਗ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਉਤਲੇ ਹਿੱਸੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਿਠਾਸ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਹੇਠਲੇ ਹਿੱਸੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੁੜੱਤਨ. This was not a private resolution, it was a generational directive. ਇੱਕ ਦਰਦ ਸੀ ਜੋ ਮੈਂ ਸਿਗਰਟ ਦੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਚੁੱਪਚਾਪ ਪੀਤਾ ਹੈ. ਸਿਰਫ ਕੁਝ ਨਜ਼ਮਾਂ ਹਨ ਜੋ ਸਿਗਰਟ ਦੇ ਨਾਲੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਰਾਖ ਵਾਂਗਣ ਝਾੜੀਆਂ. There was a pain I smoked like a cigarette. Between the shadow of Sahir and the breath of Imroz, she found a skin of her own autonomy, capable of tenderness, yet armored against the coarse palms of the world. ਬਾਪ ਵੀਰ ਦੋਸਤ ਤੇ ਖਾਵੰਦ ਕਿਸੇ ਲਫ਼ਜ਼ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਰਿਸ਼ਤਾ. ਉਂਝ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਤੱਕਿਆ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਅੱਖਰ ਗੂੜੇ ਹੋ ਗਏ. In Amrita's world, love was never a cage lined with silken bars. The body appeared warm, porous, consenting, but it was never the limit of affection. I will meet you again, perhaps as a thought in your mind. Here she dismantled the patriarchal choreography of romance. Love, for her, was neither an act of surrender nor an assertion of possession. It was a current, a state of being, like a river whose only obligation is to flow. Pinjar. In Pinjar, Poora's voice is both historical and eternal. Kidnapped, converted, rejected, she emerges with a resistance that is simple yet groundbreaking. She says, I am no caged bird. I open my own cage. Puro is Amrita, and Amrita is the collective self-portrait of millions of women who learned survival inside wars, riots, and the muted violences of domestic life. The solitude of Ekasi Anita. This story refuses to measure a woman's worth by the shadow of men around her. Anita stands alone, but she is not incomplete. She lives outside the architecture of patriarchal definitions. Not wife, not mother, not sister, yet whole. It is an anatomy of self-reliance, articulated not in the dry clauses of law, but in the soft verdicts of emotional truth. In her work, a woman's body is not the site of sin, it is the axis of creation. She says, I will give birth to you again from the womb of my thoughts. In this line, the woman is no longer the passive recipient of love. She is the architect of its very possibility, the right to decide who may dwell in her creation. Her lines carry a biological reality. They breathe. Mahashweta Devi called her a sister. Kamala Das saw in her poems her own reflection. Virginia Woolf had argued that a woman needs a room and an income to write. Amrita demonstrated that even in the rubble of walls, a woman can still weave herself a room out of language. ਪਰਛਾਵਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਫੜਨ ਵਾਲਿਓ, ਛਾਤੀ 'ਚ ਬਲਦੀ ਅੱਗ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਪਰਛਾਵਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ. She did not theorize feminism, she enacted it. In Amrita's writing, the woman walks in both soil and sky, carrying love, pain, and identity without ever setting them down. She is the confidant of every woman still making her way towards the Amrita within herself. She gave words to centuries of silenced mouths, inked poetry in the veins' own stream, wrote prose in the salt water of the eyes. She was history, record, and signature. मैं तेनू फेर मिलांगी. Not merely a poem, but the manifesto of a gender's consciousness. मैं तेनू फेर मिलांगी. किथे किस तरह पता नहीं. शायद तेरी तखीयल दी चिणग बन के तेरी कैनवस ते उतरांगी, ਜਾਂ ਖੋਰੇ ਤੇਰੀ ਕੈਨਵਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਰਹੱਸਮਈ ਲਕੀਰ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਖਾਮੋਸ਼ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਤੱਕਦੀ ਰਵਾਂਗੀ, ਜਾਂ ਖੋਰੇ ਸੂਰਜ ਦੀ ਲੋਅ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਰੰਗਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਘੁਲਾਂਗੀ, ਜਾਂ ਰੰਗਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਬਾਹਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੈਠ ਕੇ ਤੇਰੀ ਕੈਨਵਸ ਨੂੰ ਵਿਲਾਂਗੀ. ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਿੱਥੇ, ਪਰ ਮੈਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਮਿਲਾਂਗੀ. ਜਾਂ ਖੋਰੇ ਇੱਕ ਚਸ਼ਮਾ ਬਣੀ ਹੋਵਾਂਗੀ ਤੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਝਰਨਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਪਾਣੀ ਉੱਡਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਪਾਣੀ ਦੀਆਂ ਬੂੰਦਾਂ ਤੇਰੇ ਪਿੰਡੇ 'ਤੇ ਮਲਾਂਗੀ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਠੰਡਕ ਜਿਹੀ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਤੇਰੀ ਛਾਤੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਲੱਗਾਂਗੀ. ਮੈਂ ਹੋਰ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣਦੀ, ਪਰ ਇੰਨਾ ਜਾਣਦੀ ਕਿ ਵਕਤ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਕਰੇਗਾ ਇਹ ਜਨਮ ਤੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਰੇਗਾ. ਇਹ ਜਿਸਮ ਮੁੱਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਮੁੱਕ ਜਾਂਦਾ, ਪਰ ਚੇਤਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਧਾਗੇ ਕਾਇਨਾਤੀ ਕਣਾਂ ਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ. ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕਣਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਚੁਣਾਂਗੀ, ਧਾਗਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਲਾਂਗੀ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਫੇਰ ਮਿਲਾਂਗੀ ਤੇ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਫੇਰ ਮਿਲਾਂਗੀ. We remember Amrita Pritam with a lot of love, a lot of respect, and an adoration that can only be due to a woman who becomes the womb of creation, breaking all the stereotypes that this world apparently irrational has to offer.
You were listening to a talk on the literary legacy of celebrated poet Amrita Pritam. The talker was Anujit Iqbal, herself a poet and writer. I hope you enjoyed today's edition of the English program with the promise of meeting you again. Sheba says, Namaskar.